The Lion of Psalm 22, Book 4 of the False Fulfillment Citation Series, available at www.amazon.com. My God, why hast thou forsaken me? We all know these famous words, but who said them first? Psalm 22 and 1, to the chief musician upon Alef Shahar, a psalm of David. Who was King David speaking to? Psalm 22, 1 through 4. My God, why hast thou forsaken me? Why art thou so far from helping me? And from the words of my roaring, O my God, I cry in the daytime, but thou hearest not. And in the night season, and am not silent. But thou art holy, O thou that inhabitest the praises of Israel. Our fathers trusted in thee. Did God ignore Jesus and hear him not? How can this be the case? Or was this not a psalm about Jesus, but a psalm of David, like it says? If Psalm 22 and 1 was about Jesus, was he forsaken? Mark 15 and 34 says, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? If Jesus was the truth, he would be telling the truth by saying he was forsaken. The question is, why would he be forsaken? If he was not forsaken, he lied. If he is God, why would he forsake himself? Why would he think he was forsaking himself? Isn't he one with God? They should be on the same page. Psalm 37 and 25 tells us, I have been young, and now I'm old, yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken. Judges 10 and 13, yet you have forsaken me and served other gods. Wherefore I will deliver you no more. 2 Chronicles 15 and 2, if ye seek him, he will be found of you. But if you forsake him, he will forsake you. These are reasons to be forsaken. So why would Jesus even think he was forsaken if he was supposedly doing the will of God? Psalm 22 and 20, deliver my soul from the sword. 1 Samuel 17 and 45. Then said David to the Philistine, thou comest to me with a sword? 2 Samuel 15 and 14. And David said unto all his servants that were with him at Jerusalem, arise and let us flee, for we shall not else escape from Absalom. Make speed to depart, lest he overtake us suddenly and bring evil upon us, and smite the city with the edge of the sword. 2 Samuel 21 and 16. And Ishbi-Benob, who was of the sons of the giant, the weight of whose spear weighed 300 shekels of brass in weight, he being girded with the new sword, thought to have slain David. We see David's life was threatened with swords. We see the beginning of Psalm 22 is not about Jesus. After Psalm 22 and 16 is not about Jesus. It is clear this is not a prophecy. Now let's get to the good part. Psalm 22:16. Animals are used to personify enemies in the Psalms, and lions are used more than once. If there is a consistent use of lions in the Psalm in question, would it not be reasonable to see a lion in Psalm 22 and 16? Psalm 7 and 2. Lest he tear my soul like a lion. Strong 738. Psalm 17:12. As a lion. Like a lion. This is the phrase we're going to focus on. Notice the slightly different translation of the same root words. As we continue with like a lion, Jeremiah 50:44. Behold, he shall come up like a lion. Hosea 11 and 10. He shall roar like a lion. But in Psalm 22 and 16, they pierced. Let's look into this a little further. Psalm 22:16, various translations. Lexham English Bible. Because dogs have surrounded me, a gang of evildoers has encircled me. Like the lion, they are at my hands and my feet. Modern English Version. For dogs have encompassed me, the assembly of the wicked has enclosed me. Like a lion, they pinned my hands and my feet. JPS 1917. For dogs have encompassed me, a company of evildoers have enclosed me, like a lion they are at my hands and my feet. Bulls of Bashan. Psalm 22, 12 through 13. Many bulls have compassed me. Strong bulls of Bashan have beset me round. They gaped upon me with their mouths, as a ravening and a roaring lion. Bashan was known for its giants, which David fought with. Did Jesus deal with anyone from Bashan? Deuteronomy 3 and 13. And the rest of Gilead and all Bashan, being the kingdom of Og, gave I unto the half tribe of Manasseh, all the region of Argob, with all Bashan, which was called the land of giants. 2 Samuel 21 and 22. These four were born to the giant in Gath and fell by the hand of David and by the hand of his servants. So we see in context, when David uses the word bulls of Bashan, he could easily be talking about the strong bulls of Bashan or the giants he dealt with, and he even compared them to lions. If we continue with Psalm 22 and 13, again we see the word lion. When a cough is in front of a word, it signifies like. Exodus 8 and 10 is an example. And he said, tomorrow, and he said, be it according to thy word, that thou mayest know that there is none like unto the Lord our God. 3068 has a cough in front of the Most High's name, symbolizing like. Psalm 22 and 16 also has a cough in front of the word, which will symbolize like. Missing the Alef. In the Strong's Hebrew 37 and 38, we see a cough, a resh, and a hey for the word kara, or to dig. Where's the Alef? In the Englishman Concordance, this word only has one occurrence. But when you go into the text, it has an Alef there. When they translate it as they pierced, there's an Alef there. What happened to the Alef? In context, because the Christians will scream context. Psalm 22 and 13, they gaped upon me with their mouths as a ravening and a roaring lion. Psalm 22 and 16, yes, wild dogs surround me, a gang of evil men crowd around me, like a lion, they pin my hands and feet. Psalm 22 and 21, save me from the lion's mouth. So in context, like a lion fits perfectly with the context of this specific psalm concerning David and his enemies. Like a lion or pierced. Judges 5 and 26, when she had pierced and stricken through his temples. 42:77 in the Strong's, Makach. Zechariah 12 and 10, and I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and of supplications, and they shall look upon me whom they have pierced. 1856, Dekaru. It does not use the word 37 and 38 in Zechariah 12 and 10. For the record, the word that's used in 37:38 is always speaking of digging a pit or opening a hole, not like these other words for pierced. As a point of reference, the Romans pierced Jesus, John 19 and 34, but one of the soldiers with a spear pierced his side. The prophecy in Zechariah 12:10 is addressed to the house of David and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, not the Romans. Zechariah 12 and 10. And I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and of supplications, and they shall look upon me whom they have pierced. This is not addressed to the Romans who actually did the piercing. Like a lion review, Psalm 22 and 13, they gaped upon me with their mouths as a ravening and a roaring lion, Psalm 22 and 21, save me from the lion's mouth. Now, would Psalm 22 and 16 make sense if it said they pierced or like a lion, as I've showed? Conclusion. Psalm 22 begins as a psalm by David concerning his troubles with enemies. He calls lions and bulls of Bashan his enemies in reference to those he fought with. Mighty men were often portrayed as lions as well as those that opposed David. 1 Chronicles 12 and 8. And of the Gadites, there separated themselves unto David into the whole to the wilderness men of might. and men of war, fit for the battle, that could handle shield and buckler, whose faces were like the faces of lions. Psalm 57:4. My soul is among lions, and I even among them that are set on fire, even the sons of men, whose teeth are spears and arrows, and their tongue a sharp sword. Psalm 22:16. Yes, wild dogs surround me, a gang of evil men crowd around me, like a lion they pin my hands and feet. The Lion of Psalm 22. This was just a brief PowerPoint, but I go through the entire chapter of Psalm 22 and dissect it with much more details to show what is going on and how the New Testament writers paint Jesus into this specific psalm. The False Fulfillment Citation Series, available at www.amazon.com in Kindle and paperback versions. This 10-book series is dedicated to the false fulfillment citations found in the New Testament. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe to my YouTube page, dayvaughnmays.